So for me, Spencer Brown, I couldn't stop watching him. There was back to back plays. There was a bubble screen to Isaiah McKenzie. When you watch it, Spencer Brown gets out into the open field and makes a really nice block to spring him for like another 5 yards. And then the immediate play following it, there's a screen pass to Singletary, which looks like it's getting blown up in the backfield, and Singletary makes the first guy miss. And then just as he's cutting up the field, Spencer Brown's out there, probably like 5-10 yards from the sideline, throwing a block to spring him for another 5-10 yards again. I thought the first week of preseason he looked the raw part. He had some moments, he had some down moments, but just watching this game, it's something I'm trying really hard to do this year, especially on like my second watch through, is focus a little bit more on the trenches and see what's going on there. And play after play, I was watching him, and he was like pushing a guy into the inside and kicking back out to take care of the D end. He looked the part to me this past game.
Yeah, I mean, he looked raw, like you said, last week versus the Lions, and a little worried. But again, I mean, there was nobody that went into this season thinking he was going to be a day one starter. I mean, that wasn't the point of drafting Spencer Brown in the third round. It was mostly based off of athletic potential, and again, he came from a small college too, so it wasn't like the guy was playing in the SEC, playing against future pros at all levels. Yeah, I would agree with everything Justin said. There was this. I'd also add that there was this play that Cover One showed on there on social media where he basically buries Khalil Mack as Khalil Mack's trying to bend the edge, and instead of him getting the edge, I mean Spencer Brown just uses his length and his arms to just shove him into the ground because he can't get that leverage, he can't get that bend, so he just kind of like falls in the ground and like to just put the cherry on top of it. Uh, Spencer Brown just lands right on top of Khalil Mack and just buries him into the ground. And you're like, man, like if this is just a glimpse of what this guy's potential is to take on one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, and this wasn't like a rep where Khalil Mack took off, he just didn't try. I mean, this was full effort, and Spencer Brown looked great, and he was at right tackle on that particular play. But uh, I'm encouraged by it for sure, especially because what you'd been reading out of camp was that he didn't look great, he didn't look bad, but he was getting beat by Epinesa and
Mhm.
Rousseau, and so you're kind of like, well, we're hoping to see some more positives out of it, and I think this last Saturday was one of those positives, and it has to make you optimistic for a guy that's hopefully going to be the swing tackle this season, and hopefully doesn't get pressed into too much play this year. And if it is one of those things, you hope it's because he's outplaying the guy ahead of him, maybe Darrell Williams. But yeah, it's got to make you encouraged about the future. Just in what you saw in that little glimpse on Saturday over the previous Friday.
Yeah, you guys pretty much hit the nail on the head there. I can't really add too much to that, but I was very pleased at, I guess, the step that he took into becoming more consistent. I feel like maybe this time around he didn't think too much about it. Like he was just playing football, and yeah, if he can reach that ceiling and body people like Khalil Mack consistently, we got us a
Got
steal
one.
in the third round, and I'm very very happy about it.
I just wanted to
Absolutely.
touch on one other thing to Nate's point about hearing his ups and downs, dealing with Epinesa and Rousseau. We talked about this a few weeks ago of like being this time of year when it's like the every day you're hearing like the offense won today, the defense won today, blah blah blah, and for so many years it was like our defense was winning in practice every day, and it was kind of just a nod to what our offense looked like. So it's kind of hard to gauge, is our defense really bad? Is our offense really good? But now seeing a little bit more from Epinesa and Rousseau in game time, like maybe it's not so bad that he's getting beat by them sometimes in practice because those dudes are coming on strong and look like they're legit NFL starters too. So that's just an interesting time of the year for that type of thing for me.
Yeah, I mean that's an excellent point, Justin. And I think in previous years the defense was always ahead for the most part. It was like maybe towards the end of camp, like the offense would finally score a touchdown or two or something ridiculous like that. But yeah, this year, I mean, Josh Allen, automatically came out hot, and yeah, I think with what we've seen in the little parts, and I know we're going to get to defense, so I don't want to talk too much about Epinesa and Rousseau. But yeah, I would agree with what you said, Justin. So maybe it's not necessarily that it's Spencer Brown not looking so good as it really is the defensive line being that good this season or this offseason, this preseason.